you should maximize how many you're reaching out to and try different formats and all that. Now, you have to understand your buyer in order to understand the market, because the buyers make up the market. I got my notes to guide me, by the way. And one of the most important reasons for how I see it for you to understand your buyer and why you should understand your buyer is if you want to be able to reach them, you need to understand what language they're using. You need to understand the way that you're talking, that they're talking. You need to understand where you can find them. And you will do that. The best way for you to do it is through interaction. But you also have to speak to them, interact with them in order to understand how you can help them and if you can actually help them. One of the most important things from what I see in sales is that if you take a coaching perspective, where you actually try to understand and you actually try to help people out with their solutions, with their problems and trying to help them, if you're doing it well, you will be able to help them. If you actually can solve their problems. But if you can't, you should be able to tell them, I can't do this for you. I don't think I'm the right fit for you. And if you do that, you'll get much more respect. Most likely, you can get a referral, even if they aren't your clients. Sometimes that has happened to me as well. Now, also, so how do I understand my buyer? Well, observing their behavior is a good start. And you can do that by interacting with them. You can do that by watching them from a distance. You don't always necessarily need to communicate with them in order to understand them. But my approach is to interact with the buyer. And that is, my opinion, the best way to get best feedback. Now, what happens when you interact with your buyer? Well, you will get feedback on your offer in sales, as is. If I'm selling towards you, say, and I hear that these are the objections that you use, and these are the positive things on the feedback that you give me, and this is what makes you sell. This what creates the sell, creates the close. Then I know, then I get feedback, and that is why I want to interact with you. And also, if you provide the solution, like prior, during, and then after you have after deliverance, you will also get feedback on your solution, your product, your service, whatever you're offering. Now, how many should you reach out to? Well, that's a very difficult answer. And the short answer is, it depends. The longer answer is, it's key for you to find the sweet spots. Like, okay. So if you want to have a representative sample of your target market, then you need to find a sweet spot. And you do that by reaching out to as many as you can. Now, should you reach out to 100 people when doing market research? Actually, 100 people? The short answer is yes, and it's a good rule of thumb. The longer answer to that is 100 people is not enough, in my opinion. You should gather more data, get as much data as possible, and the important feedback that you get. But actually, before jumping into answering the most important feedback you can get, in my opinion, is that if you have questions like these, feel free to ask me. Really, do that. So a guy actually asked me, he saw me talk. I was holding a speech or a presentation about sales and startups and how to conduct market research and actually selling and starting your business from scratch, bootstrapping the whole thing. And he asked me through LinkedIn if I was actually serious about talking to 100 people, because I put so much emphasis during my talk that you should really try to maximize the amount of people, and a good rule of thumb is contact 100 people, reach out to them. And yes, I am serious. So if you're watching this video, I'm very serious about that. You should reach out to as many as possible. That's just a rule of thumb regarding the 100 people. Okay, so let's jump. And also, by the way, if you have questions like this, you can write them down in the comment section. You can DM me, and you can DM me on Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn, whatever. Just whatever you feel is more convenient. Comment in these videos. I look at comments, I try to reply, and also have them to generate more content. So feel free to ask. Okay, so let's just back to the most important feedback you can get. When you ask for the sale, that is, in that situation, that is when you get the best feedback, in my opinion. The reason why is quite simple. That is because if you're actually asking for someone to open up their wallet, then you will actually get their actual objections, or you will understand what actually sells. Now, if I'm asking you hypothetically, would you like to buy this? Everyone tends to be positive, in my opinion, when approached that way. Oh, would you think of buying my service or product if X, Y, and Z would happen? Yeah, most likely. If you're asking hypothetical questions, you'll be getting hypothetical answers. So if you want to get real answers, you have to ask real questions. So, okay, I really like that one, by the way. So here's the thing. The most important feedback you will receive is when you're actually asking for the sale. When you're asking your prospects for the sale, trying to close on them. Now, why ask for the sale? As I previously stated, if you want to get real answers, you need to ask real questions. But why do I really need to go for the close? Specifically the close. I want to put emphasis on this. The sales process is quite complicated, right? And it doesn't necessarily need to be. But most people get frightened by sales because they don't really fully grasp it, understand it. But I'll try to break down for you. So if you don't go for the close, you won't actually encounter relevant objections or understand what makes them want to buy from you either. Now let's break that down. Okay, the relevant objections only happen when you ask the real questions, right? When you actually ask for the sale. If you actually ask them to bring up their credit card, give you the information so you can close and you can do a withdrawal or whatever, or you're actually gonna bind them legally and then send them later an invoice, that's when the objections come, the real objections. Oh, it's too expensive. I don't have time. I don't know if I'm the right person for this, or I don't know if this is the right fit for us. Then you get to address them, write them down, document that, do that as much as possible. And when you do that 100 times, because if you're reaching out to 100 people, right? And let's say, and when I'm say reaching out, I actually mean when you're actually on the call, when you're actually interacting with 100 people, not only just sending an email. Well, that has some relevance as well, but not only when you're sending an email, because people tend to delete some emails. And I wouldn't say that's necessarily the best feedback in my opinion, even though that is feedback really worth considering. But in my opinion, the best feedback that you get is when you're actually asking for the close and you're speaking to someone. Absolutely the best if you're physically in the room with that person. Then you can read the body language, you can have a conversation, and they won't click you. But the second best option would be a video call. The third best option would be an audio call. The fourth would be text, I guess. Other than that, I don't know how you would communicate with them. I mean, ads, that works as well. But I'm talking about actual sales with interacting with your customers, where you get real-time feedback and you get to ask them questions, have a conversation. Okay, so getting back from the rant. Yeah, and it's also super important that you remember that when it comes to market research, in my opinion, is that it's not just about gathering data. It's about gathering relevant data and feedback that will help you improve your offer, but not only your offer, your product and service. As I mentioned before, when you offer someone to actually buy from you, they get a real question. When they get a real question, they will provide you with a real answer. And that is if that offer is good enough for them or not. Now, I like to think, as Alex Hormozi says, that create an offer that is so irresistible that people will feel stupid if they say no. I think he's quoting someone else on that, but I'll quote him on that or whatever, paraphrase it. And also the product and the service. Like, look, the offer might be really good, as they think it sounds really good. But when you're actually delivering, then some problems might occur. And that is part of the sales process, because the sale, when you close someone, it doesn't end there. You have to upsell, you have to have customer service. You constantly need to sell them on the vision for why they are there and why they are using you as a provider for for solutions to their problems. Now, when you have got someone, because you could be a really good manipulator. I wouldn't say that you're a salesman, in my opinion. If you have a bad product or service and you get someone to say yes and then you deliver shit, I would say you're more manipulating than actually selling. Because if you're selling, in my opinion, then you're coaching someone and you're actually providing value in the long term. Because as I said, it doesn't end with a close for the sales process. It continues until until the project is done. Always do recasting the vision together with them. Okay, I'm a little bit afraid that the phone is gonna run out of memory, but let's do this. Okay, so it's not about the amount of people, to be frank. It's more about the quality of the feedback that you get, and it's what helps you create more of a lucrative offer. Okay, so it's not just about the number, but also the quality of the feedback that you receive. Because the feedback that you receive in the conversations, the reason for you having them is not only for you to make money, it's actually for you to be able to help someone. And if you want to be able to help someone as best as you can, then you need, in my opinion, to actually speak to them. You need to interact with them, and you need to provide them with an offer them something, deliver it, if they say yes, of course, deliver it, and then iterate. So, in conclusion, it's important for you to find your sweet spot when it comes to the representative sample of your target market, and you do that by interacting with as much as possible with your clients and with as many of your prospects as possible. Clients, buyers, use them as a synonym for what I just said. So if you don't actually go for the sale, you won't actually get the real feedback, because real questions receive real answers. Hypothetical questions receive hypothetical answers. And remember, the most important feedback is the one that you receive from actually asking your prospects for the sale. Go for the close, because in that situation you will get the most and the best feedback for you to improve on your offer, your sales technique, your conversational skills, your charisma, you name it. Anything that has to do with you building relationships with your prospects. So stay tuned for more content like this regarding sales, leadership, martial arts might come. I don't know if I'm gonna post a video about that soon, but if you have questions like these, guys, you can either comment here on my videos, I do watch them, or you can just send me a DM on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. You can find me there. It's Maxi Gillberg on Twitter and Instagram, Maximilian Gillberg on LinkedIn. So Gillberg, Gillberg, that's my last name, Maximilian. You should have seen it by now. And just reach out to me if you have any questions. I would like to help as much as possible. And this video was basically created because someone asked me this question, see me talk, and I created this video for you actually. So if you're watching, give it a thumbs up. And you other guys, love you, love your support. Thank you for supporting, subscribing, liking, commenting. Really appreciate it. And let's try to help spread as much value as possible. Okay, don't forget to like and subscribe. Bing bong bing bye.